Hello and welcome to the 60X Business Show. My name is Kitumaini, and together with my guests, we'll have different conversations about business, entrepreneurship and life. This is the show you've been waiting for. Stay tuned. Welcome to today's conversation. In this show, my guest is Ntwali. Yusuf, welcome to this show.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm very good.
Wonderful. A little bit of background. Yusuf is the co-founder of Bag Innovation, and Bag Innovation is it's a platform that enable students and prepare them for the marketplace. Is there anything about you and Bag Innovation that I forgot to say that you can tell the viewers about?
Great. Yes, so my name is Ntwali, and I'm a Rwandan entrepreneur. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Bag Innovation. And as you mentioned, Bag Innovation is basically an education tech company here in Kigali that basically offers an access to experience-based learning for university students. So what we do is basically collaborate with universities and companies to be able to create creative and interactive assessments for students to be able to prepare themselves for the job market.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love the Edtech sector that you basically operating in. I'll have a few questions about that in this conversation. But as you see, we have a wheel here. You'll be spinning the wheel, and then we'll selectively, randomly have a number. From there, I'll ask you a question. Are you ready?
Sure, I'm ready.
Relax, it's going to be fine, and it's going to be fun.
Let's go.
Over to you, please start.
Great. Okay, let's see what we have here.
Yes. Which number you're going to pick today?
This is fun. We have 14.
Number 14. How would you define leadership?
Leadership, that's a very good question. I think how we define leadership is the ability to have people follow you without you having to basically influence them in a bad way, if I would say that. So basically, a leader to me is a person that basically, through their actions, they're able to give an example to people, and people are willing to follow them because they want to be like them, or they want to help them achieve a certain goal. Okay. That's kind of like a leader or leadership to me. Yeah.
I like the way you narrowed it down, like someone you can follow and influence people in a positive way, not in a negative way. Do you have in your life as an entrepreneur some certain leader that basically influence you in a positive way, or you look after and then you say, actually, that's a good leader. I'd like to be like that guy one day.
Yeah. I mean, it's very tricky because, I mean, for me, I think as an entrepreneur, but also as a human being, I think I've been influenced by a lot of people in my life, right? Starting from my, I would say my dad has influenced me a lot when it comes to like the entrepreneurship aspect of my life. But also, I've been watching a lot of different entrepreneurs, but just like following their biography and like just learning about how did they start. Like people like Jeff Bezos, like seeing some of his videos when he actually launched Amazon, and just like seeing how he's passionate about his technology and how his solution, and seeing him now 20 years and 20 plus years later on, and seeing how he's successful now. So I think I've been influenced by so many people in so many different ways, and that has shaped me as a person that I am right now.
Wonderful, that's good to hear. Let's go to the second question. Are you ready?
Great, I am. Okay. What's the other question? We have 13.
13. Where are you? Can you tell us more who is Yusuf? Growing up as a kid, why did you choose to start or found a company into Edtech? Did you envision that when you were a little kid? And also, why Edtech?
Yes, great question. Why Edtech, and how did I basically get into that space? I think I've always been, as a human, as Yusuf, I've always been very passionate about capacity building and entrepreneurship in general. As I mentioned, is that my dad has been a serial entrepreneur. He's worked on so many different businesses. and just like like growing up and like watching him like venture into different companies and seeing how he's really passionate about that has really shaped me into becoming an entrepreneur. But I would say that basically just me growing up, I think one of the dreams that I've had when I was growing up is being actually a doctor, which is very which is very different from what I'm doing right now, right? Is that because I think like growing up, just like so many kids, is that we really look up to doctors as people who have actually knowledge, and we just feel like they're smart, right? And I've always been like dressed up like as a doctor and like wear glasses so I can look like a doctor. But then right after like 3 years ago, that's when I met my co-founder, and I was basically just watching my environment and seeing so many people in my environment just graduating from university and not being able to get into jobs. And then I just got curious about what was the problem there, like what's happening, why are people not able to get into jobs? And just meeting my co-founder, Gabriel, we were able to start just analyzing this problem and saying, okay, like what's happening here? How can we start engaging companies, engaging employers, and actually understanding what do they think about this problem? And from conversation with different employers and different universities and also students, we gathered a lot of information to just understand the mismatch. So basically realizing that universities are not really producing what the companies are looking for, which leads to that kind of like unemployment. And that basically just brought up the idea of BAG. And venturing into Edtech was a great opportunity for us to be able, because we saw that this is not just a problem that Rwanda is facing, but it's a problem that East Africa and a lot of different countries in Africa are facing. So Edtech is definitely the way to go for us to be able to scale this technology and really impact so many students going forward.
Wow. That's so amazing. I will come back a little bit to the story when you said your dad influenced you, your dad is a serial entrepreneur. When was like the time you start being exposed to your dad's business? And did you, was it when you, at a younger age? How old were you back then when you start being involved and test how business tastes like?
How I got to get engaged in my like business in general and entrepreneurship, I would say that definitely at some point I worked for my dad for a little bit when I just finished my high school. I just worked for him for like a couple of months to just earn some money and just keep myself busy. But I would say that the first time where I got to actually engage into entrepreneurship and become actually a businessman is I was around 12 years old, and I was actually, what I did is that my dad bought me a phone, and then what I did is that I basically traded the phone with another person and got another phone and plus some money.
A better one.
Right? Exactly. Not a better one. Actually, not a better one, because I actually got money from it as well, right? And I mean, I just got into that business of like just like trading different devices, like electronic devices, with some friends, and just making a profit on it, right? So I thought it was a legit and actually profitable business. So I started doing that just to earn some money. And that was really fun, and taught me a lot of things about just like engaging with customers and like how do you convince them to buy an actual product. So yeah, those are fun times that really got me into like, I really enjoy this.
Oh, nice. For some of the viewers, as Yusuf said, he started tasting entrepreneurship at the age of 12. Just imagine a 12 years old guy trading electronic devices and gets cash out of that. How wonderful and amazing that is. So there is no age, there is no specific age to start business. So find what are the things you're good at. Are you good at convincing people? You can still see what your parents are doing and convince your friends to buy, and then maybe your parents can give you some commission on that, right?
True.
That's so amazing. I like the time that's when you started.
Great.
So let's spin the wheel for the question.
Great. Let's go.
Which one we're gonna get this time?
Looking forward. We have 9.
But 9. Very close to 10, but I think that's 9.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a moment in your life, like running a business, and then it was too hard, and then you really almost wanted to give up. And how did you feel? Like being an entrepreneur, running back, and then you feel like this thing is too much, and then late night of sleep, and then sales, and you're not meeting your sales target. You feel like, do we really make a right choice to venture into this? And you almost gave up, but why you kept your feet on the ground to keep moving ahead?
That's a very great question, right? I think that a lot of entrepreneurs get to that point because entrepreneurship is a very complex thing to get into, and it's not very easy to basically just venture into that kind of lifestyle of being an entrepreneur. So I would say that one of the things that maybe when we got to that point was because when you're running an innovation company, right, we're basically coming up with a new idea that the market hasn't heard of, right? So basically at Bag Innovation, what we're trying to do as an ultimate goal is how can we digitize internships and make sure that people are actually being able to access internship from anywhere, right? And so just coming up with that kind of idea, when you bring it to the market, a lot of people think that you're actually crazy, right? Like this is not gonna work, right? And it requires a lot of work from us to be able to prove to the people that we're trying to sell to or trying to collaborate with to understand that this is actually the future and this is where we're going. So I feel like just in the beginning, right, trying to get the first couple of customers, it was very hard to just get them to understand the concept and what we're trying to do because they're not used to this solution that we're bringing on the market. So at that point, we're just okay, do we change the whole thing, or do we venture into something that they actually understand, or do we just continue because we believe in this idea? And I feel like after a couple of reflections as a team with my co-founder, we really realized that, hey, do we want to be remembered as people who actually gave up because it became hard, or do we want to be remembered as people who actually kept pushing, right, until it actually became something that we were proud of? So that really, conversations and just talking to other people who've gone through the same situation definitely helped us into just
keep pushing,
waking up and going to work.
That's great. And we in a global pandemic, a lot of companies are facing different challenges, right? Either from reaching out to their customers, getting their supplies on time, being consistent, serving their customers. And this pandemic hit business differently. In your case, what are the biggest challenge that you're currently facing, and how are you tackling them?
Great. Definitely the pandemic and the crisis of the COVID-19 is definitely really impacting a lot of businesses and just impacting lives of people on a massive scale, which is very sad. I would have to say that some of the challenges as a business we're facing is in terms of just our B2B model. So basically as a business is that we have different target groups and we have different products that we sell. And one of the products that we sell is to the different companies, right? So we're working into basically placing people into different income generating opportunities, young people especially. And with this COVID, basically with more companies not being able to afford hiring people, more companies just basically laying off a lot of their employees has been a very challenge for us to be able to sell that kind of product. And that's number one of the challenges that we faced, and one of the solutions to that, well, the alternative solution that we came up with that is that basically we just sit down as a team and figure out, okay, how can we support businesses in another way, because businesses are a very huge core of our business model. And we just basically started coming up with different ideas of different products that we can support the businesses with. But also one of the other problem is that the access to finance, so basically raising capital has been a very huge challenge. Is that, we have a lot of as a business, we're trying to raise capital, so we're talking to different investors, and one of the biggest challenges is actually getting investors to invest, because also investors are also closing in and saying, hey, I have to take care of my family, or I have to look out for my people as well, and I'm gonna basically pause on me trying to invest in other companies. So that has been one of the challenges as well, but I think basically just threatening our business model is one of the ways to be able to tackle those two challenges that we're facing.
Wonderful, that's pretty amazing. And for some young entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs out there, Yusuf is a young entrepreneur, and I guess you're also a serial entrepreneur because you also have another company called Kigali Adventures.
Yes.
What advice can you give to young people out there who like to go and start their business with limited capital?
Yeah, that's a very good question as well, as how do you start a business with limited capital, right? So one of the first things that I would say is just give advice on, like, if you want to become an entrepreneur, it's not an easy task, right? So a lot of people get into entrepreneurship because they believe that, okay, I'm going to be working my own hours, like nobody's going to be telling me to go to work, I can do whatever I want. Yes, you can, but then at the same time is that if you have people working for you, those people are looking up to you to basically guide them on where is the company going. So as an entrepreneur, it's definitely, there's a lot of working on the weekends, and there's just like anytime clients are gonna call you, they're gonna basically have challenges and you have to solve those challenges. And just basically starting a company with limited capital, I believe it's possible. It's hard, but it's very possible. And some of the different ways is that I believe that ideas can sell themselves. So if you have a brilliant idea, it can basically sell itself, right? Because maybe you're just maybe the only reason that you're not being able to raise that capital that you're missing is that you're talking to the wrong people, right? You might have a very good idea, but you talking to wrong people, it's making you not get the capital that you need to be able to grow. And so I feel like an idea definitely sells itself. So really, really work on your idea, and because if you get to meet an investor or another entrepreneur that you would like to invest or collaborate with, they're gonna say, why should I invest in your company, right? They're gonna ask you a genuine question, like, I have so many businesses around, but why you, right? And you have to be able to answer that, right? So, and that requires a lot of work for you to do homework, for you to just basically work on your idea and perfect it. So try it, prototype, create a small prototype with the limited resources you have, put it on the market, get feedback from people, and just build on from there. Right? By the time you go to sell it, it's gonna be a genuine idea, and it's gonna be able to work. So it's definitely possible. Work on the idea and talk to the right people.
Wonderful. So for some aspiring entrepreneurs, especially young people, being an entrepreneur, it's very, very hard. It's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey, as Yusuf said. Perfect and work on your prototype, perfect and work on your ideas, make it very, very ready, because that will be your unique selling points whenever you want to raise capital, whenever you want to talk to investor. They will ask you tough and hard questions, and you need to be able to answer those questions.
Yes.
Let's go back a little bit to the Edtech.
Yes.
Globally, the Edtech it's like more than $90 billion market, right? And it's a huge opportunity for you guys to tap into that within the Rwandan markets. What are the things that you are seeing as opportunities, Edtech opportunities within the Rwandan market, and how are you seizing those opportunities on your own advantage?
Great. Yes, Edtech is growing rapidly. I mean, the COVID-19 crisis has definitely shown that everything has to go online, right? The internet is probably the biggest thing that we've ever built as human beings, right? And it's definitely what the COVID-19 has been showing us, with people working from home, students being at home and not being able to go to classrooms. It showed that the universities and the education institutions that we actually need a solution that can help students being able to continue their classes even if they're at home. So Edtech is definitely growing all over the world. The Edtech market scene in Rwanda is still very small and it's growing. That's what I believe. We have great companies that are working in the Edtech scene here in Rwanda that are doing amazing work with some of the different schools, just basically digitizing the processes in the schools, and with Bag Innovation also jumping on the market to basically just like look into how do students transition from school to be able to get into the market. And I feel like with different conversations that we're having with entities like the developing entities here in Rwanda, we're realizing that Edtech has to be invested in. And that's something that, I mean, it's going to require a lot of dialogues with the different stakeholders to be able to figure out how can we grow this market. But also at the same time, we have to fight the problem of accessibility to devices that can actually operate with internet, so like mobile devices and internet and computers, and how do we get that access to the students? Because as EdTech entrepreneurs is that we're building solutions, but then if the schools don't have the right infrastructure, we're not able to sell those services to the schools. So basically just looking at that bottom line of like, how can we solve that problem, and then how can we bring in solutions that actually solve the problem? I think this is definitely the next step right now, but it's growing. We have great companies that are doing amazing work, and I'm just looking forward. I'm super excited about that.
Wow, that's great. And with this pandemic, are you seeing like it's playing on your favor for what is coming next? Are you seeing like the future more focus would be on Edtech, because we've seen working, because there are some schools that are still operating online, companies are still sending some of their staff to go and learn there. Some of your students, you have some virtual placement for their internship. Are you seeing like the Edtech with this pandemic also especially in the Rwandan market, like this is the right time to move with the wave, to move with the flow toward the bigger future that is ahead?
Totally, definitely. I definitely believe that this is the right time for EdTech. Well, has never been a right time for EdTech actually than this time, right? Is that, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of growth in terms of the numbers of people who are using our platform or who are reaching out to us, basically just like collaborate and like build partnerships that can solve the problem of students not being able to continue upskilling themselves while they're still home. So it definitely shows that the need of EdTech is now. And we have to really go forward with that, because it saves a lot of money and time for a lot of different processes that are into the education, but also employers. So it's definitely the right time.
Wonderful. Awesome. This is the right time for Edtech. That's when it's obvious. Your company, a few months ago, you win a lot of awards, global awards, and which was great for you guys. That's money coming in your business. From an investment perspective, can you tell us why should an investor invest in your business compared to, let's say, any other company out there?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. So over the last couple of months, we've been able to win different competitions, and we're very grateful for that. We've been putting in a lot of work of just like putting ourselves out there and making sure that we're really, everybody knows about what we're doing at Bag Innovation, how can we grow our company. And why should an investor invest in a company like Bag Innovation is that we have a very unique solution that we're bringing on the market. And the goals that we have are basically, to digitize, as I mentioned, the internship process, which ultimately is going to save companies a lot of money when it comes to like the onboarding processes, which is something that companies are really struggling with, especially in Africa, is how can we get talent and how can we get them in a very quick way. So a solution like Bag Innovation is definitely coming in to solve that specific problem, and saving the company time and money is a very huge aspect that we're bringing in on the market. But also at the same time is that we're solving a massive problem for universities and students as well, is how can we get students to apply what they're learning in theories in actually practical experience, right? That's something that has never been done before, and there's a lot of potential of actually just either making money out of the different solutions that we're able to pull on the market, but also just like solving this massive problem is something that is definitely needed on the planet or on the planet, actually. because from this competition, we've been able to hear that it's not just a solution that works for Africa, but we've been to Europe, we've been to South America, and people tell us that, hey, this would actually work exactly here as well. So we believe that it's a global, it's a solution actually. So it has a lot of potential.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Is it hard to raise capital if you operate in Edtech, because there is a lot of value and benefits and easy to scale globally than any other startup that has limited window or capacity to scale globally?
Yes, I would say that it's hard to basically raise capital for edtech startups, mostly because if you look at the statistics, is that edtech is one of the markets that is actually growing right now, and one of the reasons is that it requires a lot of being able to understand, so the people who are investing, the investors, being able to understand that kind of market. So a lot of people do not understand the education market, and we have so many companies that are solving massive issues, and they tend to get into the NGO aspect because it's a massive issue, and they're not able maybe to monetize on that because it's such a big issue, and they're targeting people who cannot afford to be able to pay for that. So that has made investing in edtech a very hard process for investors. But then there's a lot of different ways that as entrepreneurs we're coming up with different innovative ideas of how can we actually monetize on this so that we can attract investors and show them that this is an actual profitable business, even if it's targeting an education problem.
Wonderful, that's great. You started being exposed to the business world, testing, selling, and getting the reward from your sales at the age of 12. Can you tell us who is your everyday hero in your life?
Who's my everyday hero? That's a very good, that's a tricky one because I would have to say that. Okay, that's a very tricky one because I would say that I have so many people that I would say that I look up to, as I mentioned before, so my everyday hero I would say is definitely the team that I work with. Okay. I would have to put it as a team. So heroes, the heroes are definitely my team. So the people that I work with are very smart and are very dedicated to this problem, and so I would look up to them as heroes because when we solve a problem as a team, we definitely inspire each other, and as working with talented people, you really get to learn a lot from them as well. Yeah. So I would say that those are my heroes, the people that I work with, and those are the people that I look up to as I go forward. But also I have different role models, people that I look up to in terms of just how they were able to get successful in their businesses, could be in tech, or just in great individuals who had immense or even creative talent that has shaped the world to the way it is right now.
Wonderful, that's so great. Let me wrap up this conversation with my last question. What is the number one skills or ability that anyone who would like to grow the business, they need to be aware of? We talked about it's challenging being an entrepreneur. For someone to succeed and grow further into this path, what are one or two advice or key abilities that someone needs to know to move far?
To move
according
forward,
to you? Yeah.
I would say two things that you need to know or have as skills as an entrepreneur to be a successful entrepreneur, I would say. One is definitely time management, right? As an entrepreneur, you definitely need to know how to manage your time because the more you know how to manage your time, the more things you can get done, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, some of the successful people in the world have the same hours that we have. They have 24 hours a day. Yeah. And they were able to get somewhere else, right? Somewhere far. And we're not able to get there, but then we say, okay, he had the same or she had the same time as you had. Why were we not able to get there? But it all goes down to how well you manage your time, right? So how much time do you spend working on your business? How much time do you spend thinking about your business? and just like growing your business in general. And the second thing I will have to say is that you have to be good at actually not really selling, because you can be a good entrepreneur, but then maybe you're not good at selling. But you have to be good at giving your ideas. So being able to say your ideas out loud and being able to present your ideas in a clear way that anybody can understand, right? So if you are meeting with an investor for 10 seconds, you have to be able to just, in a concise way, tell them what is up to. What is my business? My business does this. So that skill and time management will definitely help you to become a great entrepreneur. And everything else, you can just bring in more people.
Okay, wonderful.
Exactly.
So talking about time management, what time do you wake up and what time do you go to bed?
Great. What time do I wake up? I'm usually a very morning person. I wake up, I'm also a Muslim, so I'm very used to waking up at 5 in the morning. So when I wake up at 5 in the morning, it's very hard for me to sleep after that. So between 5 and 6 in the morning, I'm already awake. And I go to sleep very early as well because of that, because I can get a lot of things done. So I go to sleep around 9 to 10 p.m. I'm very early.
Wonderful. Well structured.
Yes.
So we are coming to the end of this conversation, and some of the key to advice Yusuf said about if you're an entrepreneur and would like to go far in this journey. Number one, time management is key. Number two, you need to be able to sell, because selling is very, very important. You need to be able anytime to pitch to your customers. You need to be ready anytime to convince investors why they should invest in your business. Remember, the conversation continues on social media using the hashtag 60xbusiness. Thanks a lot to Yusuf
Thank you so much for having me
to the show. Remember also to tag me. My handle is Christian Kitumaini. Till next time, you guys take care, be safe. Remember to wear your mask, and I see you down the road.